Hi, I'm Sydney Robertson.
And I'm Amy Kiernan.
And Reinventing the Algorithm is our invitation to you to reimagine work and life with intention, purpose, and a sense of freedom.
Together, we're going to explore what it means to show up as our true selves. And so this is for anyone that's ready to create a more meaningful, fulfilling journey on your own terms. Welcome, everyone. We are so excited to have Darcy MacNeil here with us today. We are in the fabulous Corus studios in Toronto. And of course, I'm joined by my glorious co-host, Sydney.
You kind.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about Darcy?
Yes, I would be honored to. I mean, I personally have known Darcy for, I think we checked it as 5 years.
Yeah, 5-6 years.
Been through some good times, some
peaks and valleys.
Learning times, came out great friends from all of this. And you were actually one of our first guests for our Bond to Bloom. You were actually the first person to buy a ticket for our Bond to Bloom event. So
support you, Sid. You know that.
I know. You're the best.
Yeah.
You're the best.
Trying new things is hard.
Yes.
And having people around you is quite meaningful.
Yes.
And you see other people kind of break out and try new things. And, you know, for me too, I know we haven't even got into this yet, but you're seeing people try new things. And immediately I'm like, I want to support. It's that boomerang energy that is just so important as you're growing through your career, but even just the circle that you have around you. So yes.
Not everyone is so generous, though. I love that about you.
Yeah.
No, but it was a fantastic event. Like, even when I left, I was like, how can I help? How can I do this? How can I do that? Because again, you see people you love and support, and how it was like 1 + 1 = 3 is the energy I'm trying to bring in.
Well, it was definitely felt. And
Yay.
Very appreciated.
Of course.
So for those of you that don't know Darcy like I know Darcy, I'm going to give you a little bit of a bio on Darcy. So Darcy is an award-winning media executive with deep expertise in branded content, integrated strategy, and creative leadership. A key force behind Mindshare's Canada Content Plus and Corus Entertainment's Soda. She has led impactful teams and campaigns for Tier 1 brands like RBC and Amazon, as well as Corus's full portfolio of entertainment and lifestyle brands. Known for blending proven marketing tactics with emerging platforms, Darcy specializes in creating innovative multi-platform programs that drive engagement and measurable results. She thrives in complex, collaborative environments, which I know very well, guiding diverse teams through ideation, negotiation, and execution with clarity and purpose. The strong background in executive leadership, creative, P&L, ownership, and content strategy and sales enablement, Darcy is a skilled communicator and relationship builder, adept at moving teams, pitching vision, and delivering award-winning work, which I've luckily worked on a few of those award-winning programs with.
Together.
Yes, together, teamwork. Recognized by Strategy, DigiDaily, the Canadian Online Publishing Awards, and more. She continues to push creative boundaries while delivering business results.
Oh, that bio. It's
Girl.
When you ask for a bio, I'm like, oh no, I feel like I'm going to
Oh my God. I was just, there's.
hearing that, looking at it, you're like, oh no.
Oh no, it's
Yeah.
very impressive.
Thanks, Sid.
Aw.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, like such a great, again, women supporting women.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Change, shifts, all of those things as we go through. I feel like, you know, I'm getting right into it, but being in media is cuckoo bananas.
Especially
now.
Yeah, it's not for the faint of heart.
No.
No, it does not.
It is not. And before I would think about my career as like, what's next? And now I see it in seasons.
Oh,
It
love
like-
that.
Because it's just ever changing. Your purpose kind of remains the same or kind of shifts, or your core values. But there's more seasonal moments and shifts. And that is what I've candidly have been working on for the past year personally, trying to figure out what my role is and what's important to me.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
I love
amazing.
that.
Yeah.
I feel like as women, we get to a stage in our lives where we start to feel like we want some deeper meaning, or we want to know more, right? Like, because we're conditioned in a certain type of way to climb the corporate ladder, which you have, you know, judging from your bio, I mean, you've done it very well. And yet there comes a point where it's like, and you know, what about the inside of me? What if I didn't have all of this?
Yes.
Who remains?
Right. It's the now what?
Yeah.
Also, like, and I've had very lucky. I've been in media, but I've actually been in many different roles.
Mm.
So my first 8 years of career, I was a showrunner, writer, producer, TV show at MTV Canada.
That's so cool.
I also did legal and clearances. I was a talent booker. I moved my way through kind of all these different elements.
Mhm.
And like media, I was laid off in 2013, 2014.
Mhm.
And that for me was what is going to be next
Mm.
and trying to figure out what is next for me when you're talking about purpose. And I shifted into, I directed a show, didn't like it. Freelances, I'm not built for freelance.
Mhm.
I know that about myself.
No,
My
right.
husband
Yeah.
loves it and thrives.
Right.
I like to build. I like to be around a
Mm.
team.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That gives me purpose to see other people do amazing things.
Yeah.
And I find when you are, in my experience, in a freelancer, it's you're coming in, you're delivering a project, and then you go on to the next.
Mm.
And that just doesn't fill my bucket.
Right.
And so moving into advertising, kind of that next phase and change, was quite meaningful for me because I went back to school at
Mm.
32. I did night school at U of T,
Good on
brand
you.
management,
Mm.
because I didn't know what was going on.
Mhm.
Seriously, I actually, this is embarrassing and it's a true story. I bought the book, Advertising for Dummies.
I love those books.
Yeah.
I have a few of those books.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Self-educated. I remember being in those rooms at media agency and being like, what is a GRP? Oh gosh, writing down everything and just had to learn on my own, and then pivoting again. And so when you talk about purpose and trying to figure out what's next and media changing,
Mhm.
resilience,
Oh
and
yeah.
shifting
Mhm.
is a real thing.
Mm.
And it's just been a through line kind of through where I have gravitated towards
Mhm.
in the past, 15 or 20 years
Mm.
of my work and where I want to spend my time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I think one thing that I really admire in you is your natural and worked on abilities as a leader. So I've watched you build teams, as you
Thanks, Ed.
mentioned, and had a lot of change to teams. Like you've had to deal with attrition,
Yes.
layoffs,
Yes.
and seeing true talent because depending on generational, depending on different skill sets and backgrounds, like you've really done a great job of building really powerful and beautiful teams. So maybe if you could just, for those other leaders out there, just give some wonderful tips and maybe just explain a bit about your journey at Corus even
Yeah, of course.
as a leader and how you've developed that leadership skill.
I think my leadership style has changed over the years.
Mhm.
I will say that. And a lot of it is through mentorship too, just seeing
Mm.
type of leaders around you,
Mm.
not only to see what you want to be, but what you don't want to be.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think we've all been in those spaces. We're like, oh no, this
Yeah.
is not my energy. This is not my leadership. You know, in your early 20s, everyone's just trying to figure it out, especially I worked on a daily show
Mm.
when I was at MTV, and it was a different culture.
Mhm.
And there were some pieces that I really liked. Like an executive producer shared with me, it's only television because I would hold on to it and stress
Mm.
it so much.
Oh.
And it gave me a wider view and perspective,
Mhm.
where I also had other leaders in there, the quite opposite energy.
Mhm.
And so you get to pull from both things that you like and what you don't like.
Mhm.
And a part of the liking is the motivating.
Right.
How do you motivate a team? How do you
Mm.
get people to be engaged? And it's not just recognition of you're doing such a great job
Right.
and those things. It is also seeing themselves in what's next step for them. You are a part of their career growth.
Yeah.
And if they can't see what's next, how do you motivate?
Mhm.
And that has been quite challenging in the past 6 years. And leading a social agency at Soda, for example, there was no blueprint on what a social agency should look like
Mhm.
because it's, you both know from ex Twitter, it was a whole new platform. And then understanding how do you build the editorial strategy, the like-minded people. It is a completely different type of workflow on social versus
Mhm.
traditional channels.
Mm.
And so for us, it's around care from a leadership standpoint. Mental
Mhm.
health also plays a
Mm.
large part.
Can you
in leading
unpack that
team
a
of
little
social.
bit?
Yeah, you can't turn off social.
Yeah.
And there are things happening in the world 24/7, and you are leading that channel and social strategy.
Right.
there needs to be times for you to step away,
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah.
and they need to hear from leaders that that's okay.
Okay.
Whether it's through political,
Mm.
macroeconomics, anything that's happening across on social at that time, and you are responsible for building content and you were just watching it all the time.
Can you give an example, actually?
Sure, I can. Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Fascinating.
I mean, an example that happened this summer with the LA fires
Oh, okay.
and happening in the summer on LA fires.
Mhm.
And you're sitting there and it's constantly
Mhm.
and watching it over and over again. And my team is on social
Oh,
doing content.
right.
You can't step away from it.
Mm.
And also, from a crisis protocol perspective, this is a nuance as well. You're looking from maybe we shouldn't use fire emojis in our copywriting.
Right.
Maybe
Yeah.
we need to pull any content or content planning that from a crisis protocol. So you're thinking like 5 or 6 steps ahead.
Mhm.
But that puts a lot of pressure on social media managers, strategists, and community managers in real
Mhm.
time. So creating spaces for people to be heard, to step away, and to content plan in the sense that you don't have to be always on.
Right.
And that was quite meaningful about 5 or 6 years ago going through this and building this team
Mhm.
because being in social as a strategist and a community manager and social media manager, there is a blend of art and science that you are chasing likes, engagement, and you just are trying to get to the next one, the viral moment.
Mm.
And comes with that is a personality of high performance. And you're just running at it, and you have to give space.
Right.
And I think that has been a part of my learning on leading a social first team of having constant conversation, times of space, and to accurately staff a team correctly
Right.
to avoid burnout.
Mm.
Because burnout is a real thing, especially in social.
Oh, I can imagine.
Because you are doing so many different things.
I know.
And people can see how well your social is doing, meaning vanity metrics.
Mhm.
Like senior leaders are asking, how come you're not doing this? How come you're not doing that? And there's a strategy in place. And it's just a different level of working.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Darcy, what strikes me about you as you describe leading your team is how much you speak about them as whole people. It's really beautiful, actually. Like you talk about them needing space and them, dealing with potentially, very upsetting things throughout their day. And it sounds like you have a very, like you really honor the people that you work with, which is so lovely because I think in this day and age, and we've all experienced difficult leaders where it's all about the outcomes and it's all about the results that they drive. And you sound so different. Like it sounds,
Thank you.
yeah.
But I will say my leadership team at Corus and Soda are very like-minded.
Oh, that's lovely.
I can
It's a huge
tell,
difference.
And rare.
yes,
Yeah.
that I built such a great team of
Mhm.
empaths.
Yeah.
Empaths, high performers, and we're still in a corporate environment.
So you can be
surprise.
both.
You can be both. Two things can be true,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And it can
Yes.
be very, and also low-key, very difficult at times.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We know to balance.
Sure.
But
Or-
I am so proud of the team that I work with. And I don't want to say I've built. I have noticed in the past 6 years, I was a manager and I've moved into leader. Like,
Mm.
what used to
Oh.
fill my bucket was
what
performance.
was that shift? Yeah. What was that?
I call it a shit shift.
Mm.
The shit shift
Okay.
was it was all about I, and then it turned into a we.
Oh, okay.
And when I see my team, my leaders, my group, when I see them present, I am like a proud mom.
Oh.
So I don't have children, and I consider, and we're not family because I don't want to put a family culture on this because
Mm.
that also can be problematic.
Mhm.
I know both of you've spoken.
We've
about
experienced
that,
that.
right? That is not the
Yes.
culture I want to create within this organization, and where I work. But it's around seeing other people do amazing and create spaces for that,
Mm.
and that fills my bucket now.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh my God. And I think about succession planning. Like gone are the days, like I believe in my 20s and 30s, I was like, if I wasn't here, what would they do?
Oh.
I hate to say it, this is very Dance Moms quote. I'm very pop culture, but like everyone's replaceable.
Yeah.
And I always think about succession planning and being like, okay, if I wasn't here, this person could jump in. And I'm actually proud of that.
Yeah.
It's, I
It's
think,
not making it about yourself. Like I said, back to the I. It's
Yes.
we. You're part of. You're all connected.
100%. Like 2 years ago, I think I wouldn't have said that.
Oh.
I think 2 years ago, I would have panicked and being like, oh gosh, I have to make sure that I look like the star here and that I'm the sunshine and I am that. No, this is us walking together, growing together. And again, today we did a massive presentation with my team, and seeing them all shine was just so magical to me and motivating. And I've seen growth with some people that I don't work on the daily, but I've seen it. And I'm just proud.
Yeah.
And that's kind of quite meaningful for me now, like
Definitely.
in the past 3 to 5 years.
There's a huge confidence in that, I think, as well, because when we strive, when you talk about the I,
Yes.
and we're connected to the ego or to the identity, right? Like this is me proving, perhaps I'm proving, my worth, my deserving to be here. But you talk about it differently. You've moved into a space that it sounds so much more confident, where you're not worried about that.
No, and I will say, welcome to therapy. I started therapy last summer. And I've been really working on removing my identity from corporate land.
Oh my God. We can talk about this for how many episodes have you, or how many hours have we got?
Oh, right.
Uncoupling, right?
Yes.
And it's been meaningful work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But both can exist, like you talked about earlier, because you can be in a corporate environment and have to align to corporate values
and thrive. Right?
And
also have your own identity. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
It doesn't.
Yes.
And you can find yourself in those spaces where, candidly, I think we've all had to, I don't know if everyone's had to exit people, but exiting people is very difficult. It is grieving. It is trauma. It is awful. It is not a great experience.
No.
I also have been exited when I was at Bell Media. Like I have been exited before. I know how I felt. And I also remember who reached out to me and who didn't. And I always share with my team, should we have to do an exit and there are layoffs, and this might not, be the grounding of corporate culture, but again, reach out. They are not gone and you're never going to talk to them again. These are your colleagues. We create a culture of care here and support one another. And guess what? You're going to see them again. This is part of that too, but showing up for people in their moment of self-doubt, lack of confidence. Because I know how that felt when I was laid off. I was like, now what? And in hindsight, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. But in that moment, it was the worst thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Feels like rejection, failure, all those things come up. It's hard not to feel those things. Even though they have nothing to do with you. It could be
nothing.
A number on a spreadsheet, whatever else it is.
Belonging wound,
It is.
right?
It
Yeah.
is. And, again, I remember exactly who reached out, who didn't. And, it's not like I have a burn book, but
she has a book. She's showing it to us right now.
One second. I haven't due time. But it's like, it's being human.
Right. Yes.
And that's the piece that is meaningful, I think, as we go through your career. Because I remember, I graduated, I did university, then I did a year of college. I graduated on the Friday. I started my eTalk internship on the Monday.
Oh, wow.
And I haven't stopped.
Wow.
I haven't stopped. And, if I look back, I'm 43. If I look back, I'm like, maybe I should have taken some time for myself.
Right.
You learn kind of how you go of what's important, what's not. I was on this treadmill of chasing. I don't have any massive regrets, but I wish that I could have told myself to chill a little bit.
What were you chasing?
I think I was just, my therapist would tell me I am, what is she called? High performance junkie. That anytime that I would do something, I used to also be a competitive dance teacher until 6 years ago, in addition to my job.
Oh, wow.
So the dance moms thing was real.
This is a real experience. This is a core moment.
Oh, wow.
Replaceable. Everyone's replaceable.
Actually. But it was just anything that I do, I want to be the best at. Even when, the first time I went to therapy, I said to my husband, I was like, should I do a PowerPoint presentation on all my trauma? And he's like, that's a lot. But that is, I just want to be I don't want to say the best.
The best at therapy.
I do.
Yeah, I get it.
And
perfectionism. Hello. Darcy, are you me?
This is the piece, right? Again, I want to show up. I want to be there for my friends. I want to be there for my husband. I want to be there for my everywhere. But we talked about this actually at your event, Sid, that, everyone was talking about what are you trying to work on? And I'm trying to do the whole chill thing. Nothing, KPI, measurement, Like just
I think we even talk about othership or something. We were talking about all the things. It's like, must do the hot and cold. This is like
do this.
eating that protein, like all the things that are trendy. And you just feel like you have to always keep up.
Of
Yeah.
everything.
Everything.
And that has, it's always in my brain. Like, I broke my ankle in November. 7 screws, actually, no, 7 screws on
wow.
a plate.
Right.
Not great. But I'm like already, I remember my husband being like, oh, you have a full work back schedule. Because I went away 2 weeks ago and it was a planned trip. And I was like, okay, personal trainer here. I'm going to do hot and cold baths here. And then I'm going to do this. And
Yeah.
it became mentally exhausting
Yeah.
going through that. But I find that is my energy. I'm trying to quiet it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am trying, and it's a struggle to quiet it, but I don't know. I'm trying to wrestle with the in-between.
Oh, the liminal spaces.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Almost more like maybe embracing your energy versus trying to like hamper.
Harness?
Well, I mean, Amy really is a true coach here, but I feel like there's something around, and Rachel talked about it too, just more acceptance. And it's not so much that you're just trying to put it at bay because it's part of who you are. There's nothing
Yes.
wrong with that,
No.
but it's embracing it and working with it.
I like
right?
that.
Yeah.
I have been told, and I'm sure a lot of women have been told that that I'm too much or she's a lot. Because I'm like, and you hear, like I'm like, boo, moving in through it.
I think your energy is incredible.
love it.
And I love
Thank
it.
you.
I do.
And I don't think
But-
you're too much at all.
No.
But it's just like, I'm here, I'm engaged. I mean, there's also obviously, it's funny too, because I'm sure you might have felt this too in COVID. You know, I thought I was this massive extrovert. And then in COVID, I, figured out, oh, I'm a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Like the social battery.
Oh, yeah.
Those types of things coming out.
Yeah.
I hung out in your backyard with Michael
Yes, of course.
and your beautiful dog. We had this hang with you and your husband in the backyard.
It's just chilling. I know, actually. Actually, she just put out the patio furniture last week. I was like, when are we opening this patio?
Yeah, it's a delightful patio.
Thanks.
Lovely.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out kind of this next, like I said, season.
Yeah, how to be in this new world. I mean, Sid and I talk a lot about this on this podcast and about how we're, largely conditioned to chase after, accomplishment,
Yes.
achievement. I've had this thing for my whole life where it's like this sense of enough, when will I finally be enough? When will I finally have done enough? When will I finally feel like I'm there? And it's taken me, I'm 41, like it's taken me so long to get to the place of realizing that there is no there. There's no there. And not only is there no there, but I'm not going to get it from anywhere outside of myself as well, And so it's just the learnings that you go through. And I think as well as when we go into our 40s, I've said this on my other podcast, but like the fucks evaporate.
Yes.
Like they just float away into the world and you just start to realize all the things that I've been told, all the things that I've been encouraged to believe. Who does that benefit? Because it's cost me
Oh, of course.
a lot,
Mhm.
Yeah. And I mean, LinkedIn is a great platform. You're seeing everyone put in their posts of, I'm doing this, I'm doing that,
Yeah.
I'm. And then I am watching and I'm going, oh, I need to
Am I
post.
doing
I need-
Yes.
It is a constant when you're talking about like not being good enough or keeping up
yeah.
with the Joneses.
Totally.
And that energy. And I've had to mentally kind of shut off LinkedIn for a little bit
Mhm.
and be at peace of where I am. Like, when is this ever just going to be like, I just really like my job?
Yeah.
And I actually do.
Yeah, it sounds
it's-
like you do.
I do.
Yeah.
And you're
I-
really good at it.
Thank you.
You are.
But I love it so much because
Yeah.
I get to do so many different things from a sales perspective, creative perspective, content with creators, advertising. I'm jumping in so many different places, but I also just have some great people around me as well.
Mhm.
And you're not wrong around when people leave an organization.
Mhm.
It's so funny because when people leave the organization, I am just so proud of also the stuff that they've done here and taking that somewhere else.
Mhm.
I always, not always, but I tend to reach out to people after they've landed somewhere for like a month and just
Mhm.
checking in to see how they're doing.
Right.
Because I know change for folks, especially when they've been in a place for long. But there was in social, 4 or 5 years ago, we hired a bunch of people. Then they would, with all the platforms blooming, like they would go over to Spotify, they would jump over to Meta. And there was at that time being like, oh gosh, I train all these amazing people and they leave me, right? There
Yeah.
was that sense that you are creating these amazing, and like we all are creating this amazing culture, and then they would leave. And it was so interesting because at first I would take it personal.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
The
again,
bad thing. Yeah.
right. And then through growth, again, there's like this like proud moment of seeing your team flourish. And that for me, again, was a shit shift.
Mm.
And I'm always like, chase that bag, get that money. Like always when they leave, and I also share, obviously on a good note, like you're always welcome back as well.
Mm.
And I've had people come back.
Mm.
They leave again, but I've had people come back as
And
well.
that's okay. It's
And
part of their
that's
journey.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not about
Mm.
you.
It isn't about me.
Their journey.
And that's a culture change, I will say. I have like
And a leader's perspective, a true
Yes.
leader's perspective, right?
Mhm.
Because you want your team to thrive and grow.
100%. And I've also been at places where I've left and I was like, oh no, I should not have left. And I remember
Been there
my,
too.
yeah, and my manager at the time was like, I don't know how it's going to be over there. And I'm like, oh, darn it. They were right.
Mm.
Right? You just don't know.
You don't know.
But you want to surround yourself. And I've tried again, see people in my circle of who I want to be like and who I'm like, that's not the energy I want to put out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a hard line. And also I've screwed up so many times. And again, two things can be true
Yes.
where things can be emotional, but then you have to set yourself aside and you want the best for that person, what they're moving on to and all of those things. It's complicated.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
But I think all of us as leaders and people managers and corporate energy, it's really trying to separate
Yeah.
your identity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It sounds like you bring that into your leadership as well, in the
That's
sense
right.
that you welcome the whole person
Yes.
to the job, right? Like it doesn't just have to be what you're achieving. It's I want to know who you are. I want to know what makes you tick. And you also mentioned earlier, like you want to know what they want to grow into,
Yes.
so that you can support that growth, because it really sounds like that lights you up.
Also with my leadership style, and it's funny because I heard this from feedback from my leader a couple years ago, was they said to me, they were like, oh, the first time ever I got 360 feedback is people laugh and people have joy and are like, think you're funny.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, I really like that
Yeah.
because it's not that serious.
Yeah.
It's not that serious. And that executive producer that works at MTV that echoes in that same sentiment of like, it's just television. Granted, it was live, so it was very stressful. But could have screwed up real quick. But it's just television. And that is also kind of the framework I try to do with my team around joy
Mhm.
and laughter and laughing at yourself and just having fun with what we do.
Mhm.
A lot of my team are creating, like, we work for this one advertiser, and this one person's job is doing social videos of trying new products every day and doing content. And like, how is this my job? Like we were talking about it today, or I have team that are doing recipes for flavor. And be like, I can't believe I get paid for this. This is amazing. And that's a good perspective.
Yeah.
To talk about. And that's kind of the content, the type of team that I want to build, the joy. And also being comfortable talking about the stuff that's shitty,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Create spaces for that.
Psychological safety. It's a huge thing.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
And I think they're also, with the Gen Z and millennial, because I lead a team that stretch a multi-generation across different pieces. And I find with the millennials and Gen Z creating spaces for them to say, I don't know how to do this.
Mhm.
I've got to dig a little bit deeper because I think there's a fright of if I put my hand up, they think that they won't get any more career growth, or there's like, then they won't give me another opportunity if I don't know how to do this.
Right.
I share, and my team is the same way, my leadership team. Put up your hand when you need help. This isn't going to be seen as you can't handle this. This is a moment in time. And also, there could be things happening that's outside of work and hours that are stressful, stuff at home. Always put your hand up. And I will say that's a culture also at Corus of support that we have at this organization.
Yeah.
We actually have 100% mental health support at Corus.
That's
and
amazing.
therapy.
What?
No cap.
Oh my God. Okay, I want to work here.
Yeah, no cap. Yeah, you're like, wait, what? And so that I will
That's
say,
amazing.
That's
probably
incredible
90%.
trust in the employee as well, isn't it? I love that.
I will say probably 90% of my team are in therapy.
Yeah.
And
Everyone
it
should be in
shows.
therapy.
We are talking through everything,
Mhm.
a strong communication style. Also, we have a hybrid work environment, so you need to be fluid in your communication style.
Mm.
And yeah, that's kind of, people are very open
I mean, the psychological safety, though, I mean, research, I've studied this a bit. The research says that, if you have a psychologically safe team, you are more likely to have innovation. You're more likely to have creativity because you've created the space for people to make mistakes. And making mistakes is an absolutely critical and necessary part of innovation.
Oh, I've made so many mistakes. No, it's a test and learn culture.
Absolutely.
Especially in
Experimental.
I think too, especially in social, that is the expectation of optimization. But, you're trying content, you're like, oh no, that did not work.
Right.
And we talk about it all the time. Like it's funny that you say that because we have like quarterly meetings and everyone wants to show the best work. But I'm also like, can we show the ones that were like, oh no, that did not work?
We called that a bird bath at Twitter.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. After we did a program, we're like, let's have a bird bath and just like wash all the things off, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
I need to name it.
Was that like next? Did they come up with that? I feel like
It might have been.
It was like
we
a
would do exactly
special
that.
program.
We wanted to just like learn and grow from the program.
I love
so
that.
we do a whole diagnostic at the end and be like, these are the great things. Here are some areas we can improve.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like I just called it an oopsie doopsie.
It also works. I mean, ours is always a bird reference at Twitter.
Or people know on my team, I go, oh no. Like that's generally how it goes. And again, through laughter,
Yeah.
because you need levity for psychological safety.
Mm-hmm.
But also outcomes and learnings.
Yeah.
And be open. Because I think that is part of it as well, being open for feedback.
Yes.
And creating spaces for feedback that that is not meant from with a critical eye, but it's actually meant for learning and to get the person or the group to the next level.
Yeah.
And seeing that you're a part of that growth for them.
Yeah.
I feel like feedback is such a huge thing, and I know we at Twitter as well as
Right.
as independent contributors, as well as being part of a team, as well as being people leaders. We've honed in a lot on that, and there's no right or wrong answer. But when you talk about feedback and this openness in your environment, let's have a scenario. You had this great pitch today, but say there's some things of that pitch that were not going, did not, go as well as they could have ideally gone.
Of course.
How do you approach feedback where it's still considered constructive, but it does provide impact on change?
Yeah. Great. I mean, it's so funny because I deliver feedback based on individuals and my style.
So it's
I wouldn't have done that 5 years ago, but I know how I'd motivate that person. I know how that person, I hope, I know what the outcome I want. So then strategically, how am I going to deliver that this is going to be met, that they see I'm meaning with care and empathy, but I'm also there to help them grow.
Right.
So usually I will start with, this isn't like a roadmap, but generally, how do you think that went?
Yeah.
Because I
give them the floor
give them space.
first. Yes.
I want to give them space.
And check for awareness, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Check for awareness, because I think we've all been in rooms where you're like, oh no, they are not aware.
Right.
Right? Or you're like,
Yes.
yes.
We've had those.
Those were
Yes.
things. And you're like, where were you, sister? Right? And you're just like, oh geez, how am I going to unpack this together? And so that immediately want to set the floor of what that looks like. And often what I have shared with, and feedback is difficult depending on each person. I often give an example of myself. I start with being like, for an example, this is how I would have approached it because this is the desired outcome. If there has been like a misstep or whatever that looked like, and then I would give an example of when I have done a misstep and then figured out growth outside of it. Again, it's different for everybody, but I've also had ones like, oh, that did not go well. And everyone feels the heaviness of it. And then I say, okay, let's talk about it. Let's get over it.
Yeah.
It's almost like grief, like a little bit of grief. And because otherwise it's going to just sit
And we
around.
never want someone to get their valuation at the end of the quarter or their annual and then be like, I was never told this. Like it's part of their feedback.
That is so funny that you say that.
Yeah.
Because I would be, 6 years ago, scared for the feedback loop. And I'd be like, do I do this in real time? Do I do it when we have to do this? I know. And so those are those things. I'm like, am I collecting data points? When should I do this? When should I approach this? And in real time has been the best outcome.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I have collected data points too if it happens in a trend. Because I also want to give space. Because something else also might be happening at home. And that is also something where I check in and being like, how are you doing? Because if they're not their usual self or delivering performance, my first thought is something else is happening.
It's not their regular pattern.
Not
or
the
their-
regular.
What a generous
Right.
way to look at it. I
That is
love
the
that.
best way.
Yeah.
And again, at Corus, it sounds like I'm like really driving this home. But we
We're sponsored by Corus. No, I'm joking.
we have an employee assistance program as well.
Yeah.
To help with people that are dealing with things at home. They're
Right.
outside of the organization and to help and assist. But that is the grace, right? That's the grace that we have to give for people.
Mm-hmm.
And just figuring out what's going on, something else. But there's been hard conversations too, where some things aren't up to snuff. And I've had conversations if this is the expectation. And sometimes I do with things that are, what has worked with me is percentages, and my team knows this. I love working in percentages.
How do you do that? What's the framework?
I say, like, if there has been misses, you start with 100%, and I'm like, you've lost 10 points. You're sitting at 90. How are you going to get those 10 points?
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I work in this like percentage mode, or because that for
It's like a full
me-
tank of gas or
It is.
something, right?
It is. It's a full
Full
tank of
throttle
gas.
again. How do you get back to full throttle?
Right. And it's just, and that is how I've worked in percentages with teams because there's clarity there. It's not based, yes, there's impacts there from an emotional standpoint, but it's very clear and this is how we're going to work on a performance plan together to get you there. It's not just like you've lost at 10 points. See you later, sister. Like,
Yeah,
it's
it's marathon. Off you go. Yeah.
Right. No, it is like, okay, there's some misses here. How I'm going to leave space for you on how you think you're going to get there.
Right.
Come back, let's chat about it. And then what can I do to meet you, to get you there?
Yeah.
Because that's part of my job and my team's job as leaders is not to just say, fix it, but I need to show up. I have to meet them halfway to get there so they can see my dedication to them versus that performance of just being, I mean, we've all been there if you've been a leader or manager or on the other side when there might be dips of just being like, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. And that's not motivating.
Yeah.
They have to see you believing in them,
Yeah.
right? And there's going to be moments, peaks and valleys. Like there's going to like 1 week I'm off and I'm like, it was not a great week, right? And then you're kind of chasing. And so you just have to give that same level of grace that you give others to yourself as well. That's what I'm also working on. Yeah.
Well, Amy and I are just talking about that because Amy's launching a phenomenal program, like a sales training program. And we're talking about the benefits of investing in your teams. So Amy and I were very fortunate when we were both at Twitter. We were sent to the Wharton Business School, Twitter Academy. We were invested in a We Lead program, so for female leaders. And it just, when you are invested in that capacity, you feel like you're noticed, you know?
That you belong.
And you belong. How do you approach that from, it doesn't always have to be like a big program like that.
No,
those are extremes, obviously. But like as you approach a reward system or again, a belonging system, whatever you want to call it, how do you?
Yeah. So like 5 years ago, Corus also highlighted, and I think this is in a lot of corporate environments, women would get to a director level and sometimes would leave the organization. So how are they going to combat that to keep women moving through succession planning and through the organization?
So it's an epidemic.
And they gave me an executive coach.
Yes.
Corus and Money gave me an executive coach.
Everyone needs a coach.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had an executive coach for 3 months. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. I learned how to communicate on an executive level.
Wow.
It gave me the confidence. Also gave me a bigger picture that it's not me, it's the culture. And how are you going to navigate?
Right.
And I went through some changes 2 years ago within the organization. And I went back to the executive coach on my own dollar. And it was the best money I ever spent.
Yeah.
So it's just continuously investing. That's one point of how I have worked with that. Within Corus, we are a part of, we do have an annual women's support conference that we highlight. Goodness, I think we shared, I think there was 15 women from my team. I lead a team of 85. And it is talking about all these different spaces, connecting, mentorship, what works, what doesn't, get to the next level. And I was a part of Monday Girl as well as a mentor.
Yes.
And I've shared my experience with the team of that 20 to 30 something trying to network a bit more. And that does come at a cost to each individual.
Right.
But the networking, I'm trying to connect people a little bit more to get outside of your Corus bubble. You know how that works. Like,
Oh, yeah.
right? And I'm even
We
trying to
have
do
our
it.
Empower events, right? It's to
Right.
connect people from
It
different
is.
companies.
And I'm even trying to do it right now. I'm like, I'm trying to get out of my little bubble once a month. I gave myself a KPI.
You came to our Bond to Bloom dinner, and that was all. Those are all new
That
faces
meant my
for you.
KPI. And I went by
Yeah,
myself,
You
which
did.
and I had to, I mean, I had to have liquid courage to drink before. I was like, I just need a little pep
I
in my
love that you went on your own. I think that's
amazing.
incredible. I think that's like trusting the universe that you're going to meet someone cool.
Right.
You
And I
know?
did meet so many great people.
Yeah.
And I mean, I met Rachel. Like
Yes.
that
Absolutely.
was,
Yeah.
I met Rachel and I was like, oh, and I met a couple great people. And that, again, encouraging my team to get outside of the regular programming bubble.
Yeah.
It's more perspective too, right?
It does.
Yeah.
And it's really nice too to connect with people that it's less, as you all know, when you work through your career, it becomes very lonely.
Mm-hmm.
You're making decisions.
Only at
and
the
that affect
top.
other people. I know. It sounds so silly.
It's true though.
And you don't want people to feel sorry for you because that's also wild to be like, feel sorry for me. I'm at the top. That's not this energy. But it really plays on you. And that really helped the executive coach.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was me.
Right.
And she's like, oh no, that is not this. I need you to think wider and bigger and also like park that energy and think about this in a different perspective. So it was quite meaningful, that executive coach. And it's kind of just an always on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I like events as well.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking with people and especially people outside of media, because there actually is quite an overlap of transferable skills.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel also I get stuck in my media bubble.
It's easy to do.
Yeah.
I know. And my husband also is in media, so it doesn't help.
Yeah.
So it's an always on.
Yeah.
But
It's hard, like you said earlier, you're so good at helping and protecting your team from being in that always on mode.
Yes.
Then for yourself,
yes.
right?
Right.
How do you take your own advice?
I know. And it's funny. And I'm like, I need to slow down. Then I just joined the IB for the branded content chair and social. And I'm like,
Oh yeah, you and I think I passed the torch to you, right?
yes. So it's just like
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of
A
work.
lot of work.
But it's another thing. Like
Yeah.
when we talked about balance,
Mm.
we are not in balance, just to be clear. We are, that's the part. I have this fear of missing out.
Yes.
Ah.
I
Very
even like,
common, yeah.
this is just so funny. And gosh, this is just a therapy session. My therapist would love this.
Yeah.
But I even like on LinkedIn where I see a bunch of jobs posting, I'm like, ooh, what are they building over there? I want to be a part of it. I have no idea what the heck they are building. But there's a FOMO to it
Yeah.
because I love building.
Mm.
And so there's that piece where you're just like, you're looking over a computer, like looking at you, but what are they doing over there? I want to be a part of it,
Yeah.
Right.
but that's the balance we're all trying to figure out.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you want to ask Darcy your 3?
Yes.
Oh,
So we
gosh.
always end our episodes on numbers and threes. So I wanted to ask you, what are 3 things, people, places, what have you, that inspire you?
It's funny because I was thinking about this as you shared this week with me and what inspires me. And I don't know, do any of you watch or listen to, the podcast La Culturistas with Bowen Yang and Matt Rogers?
No.
So Amy Poehler was on and they talk about, with the questions they always ask, like, how did you realize or what was a part of culture that made you want to be a part of it? Meaning media or whatever that kind of shows up.
Yeah.
And Amy Poehler said this, and I have never felt something so visceral and like Target.
Yeah.
Her icon and this is so outlandish, but it is, if people know me, this is bang on, is Miss Piggy. So Miss Piggy, I love the Muppets. The Miss Piggy, when I was growing up, obviously the McDonald's toys, Miss Piggy is a baby, but also just like her funny joy energy. Yes, she's reckless. Yes, she's wild.
She's sassy.
She's unapologetic.
Yeah.
She's got Kermit there looking after her. She is always like, it's just show business and funny and the joy of it and the musicality. Because also I come from I was a showrunner, writer, producer.
Mhm.
I miss that creative part. And that was like my first of show business. I know it's puppets. Yes, I do know that.
Clarify.
But with music and variety shows,
Mhm.
again, I love SNL. That's actually my dream to actually go to every year. I try to do to try and get tickets. Never get in. But that variety show energy, that inspires me. Like I was on a was talking about this, I guess, last year of like, what would be your next thing you would want to do? I would love to be a creative director of a fashion show
Mm.
and be a showrunner for a fashion show.
Ooh.
Like that for me, oh gosh, being a part of that, like show running and directing, because I used to direct, that inspires me, that
Mhm.
creative energy and
Mhm.
joy. Being around people creating, I
Mm-hmm.
just want to be a part of it
Right.
and influence. The other people that inspire me, and this again, you're going to see kind of a through line, like pop culture is at my core. I love pop music and I love pop stars. Like my 16-year-old niece and I have the exact same music, like over like
Oh.
Venn diagram. It's like Renee Rapp, like Charlie, like everything I'm loving right now. And I'm 43, LOL. But this new pop star of resilience and changing their business model and how they show up, again, like seasons, meaning music, then jump into fashion, then jump into cosmetics, then jump into purpose, then just being able to reinvent themselves
Mm-hmm.
is something that
Reinvention.
I
Yeah.
adore.
Mm.
And to see that you can't just like Beyonce,
Mm.
like going from R&B girl group to on her own to then going to dance music to country. I'm going to Houston, Texas to go see Beyonce. I'm so
Mhm.
excited.
Nice.
You know, like that reinvention
Yeah.
and seeing people do that. And it doesn't have to be on a pop star level,
Mhm.
but even whenever I see like you reinventing yourself.
The name of
And
this
those-
podcast.
Yes. It's just, nothing is stagnant.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can give yourself permission to change. And you
I love
should
that.
be able to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
against
Absolutely.
seasons. And that is what inspires me when I see people living all of those different pieces. And again, you change of how you, like I look at where I was 5 years ago or 10 years ago, who I am to where I am now. Very different.
Mhm.
Obviously, your core stays the same, but seeing people change and pivot, I adore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is
Very
very inspiring.
inspiring.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Darcy, for joining us today. It was such a lovely conversation, just learning about you, your leadership style,
Your energy
your
is infectious.
energy. I was thinking about it the whole way through. I was like, I want to work for Darcy.
Oh, no. Work with.
Work with Darcy. I want to work with Darcy. But we're so grateful. And thank you as well for welcoming us into this beautiful podcast space.
Of course.
And just to being here and sharing everything that you did. It was wonderful, very open, very, authentic, vulnerable. And it's a real connector, I think, when, you just show up as your true self. And so it was lovely to chat
And
with
thank
you.
you both for creating space for this.
Yeah.
I know that, it's difficult out there.
Mhm.
Everyone's trying to find who they are, like-minded people, but also it's also nice to be around people that, may not be thinking the same. You want the authenticity.
Mm.
You want to see yourself, but you also need to respect other people's decisions and what that looks like.
Yeah.
They've created spaces for that. So thank you so much.
Thanks for that. What a lovely way to end.
Yay. Thank you for listening. We can't wait to have you on this ride with us. And if you like this podcast, don't forget to rate us and subscribe. Talk to you later. Bye.